Welcome back to another course. Today we're playing Tommy Schumpert, 4.4 rated, tons of reviews, tons of different layouts for this course. Beautiful course here, 2 baskets and 2 tee pads for each one. But before we get started, we're going to be doing our giveaway. Today we're giving away a glitch. All you got to do is make sure you are subscribed and leave a comment on this video. But once you first get here, beautiful warm-up area, 2 baskets for putting practice. But in this video today we're playing short to short. I may do long to long in the future, but there was a tournament, so we're playing the day before. Now they really have cleaned this course up a lot since I've last been here. The brush used to be a little bit thicker on the left side, so this actually opens it up quite a bit. And this first starting hole is a great one, whether you're playing long to long or short to short. It's a nice wide open shot. Then you're going to get into the woods of Tommy. So Tommy is mainly a wooded course, but it does have a really good mix of some open holes. But on this hole number 2 here, tons of different lines. I like taking that sidearm approach on the outside. You can throw down the middle, you can throw around the big trees. I mean, there's a lot of options, but was able to park that one. Hole number 3 going to be downhill. That stump right there actually used to make this hole a little bit harder for the shot I'm throwing. But it has opened it up quite a bit to let you work a turnover. Just got to watch those branches. I ended up catching it. But Jeff here is going to show us how it's done. So I'm playing with a few friends today, Jeff and Charles, and he was able to flex this one all the way down there, probably just outside of circle 1. Going to be throwing a pretty scooper putt here. That's something that he enjoys doing and cashing it for a birdie. So hole number 4, 185. Pretty easy hole here. Throw left or right of this gap. But Charles is going to be throwing kind of a turnover on the outside gap and just parking this hole, making it look easy. And I'll be throwing a sidearm, just something I enjoy doing on this hole, something I've always done. A lot of my friends, is probably their most birdied hole, just because of the simplicity of it. But if you change it up, play short to long or long to short, it really does change
Charles
everything.
Is making the video.
Coming here, short to short, a very, very easy one. But if you are just a couple inches off at all, it turns into a really rough round, as you can tell, very
What
wooded.
happened?
So especially on this shot, you do got to hit this main gap. Charles here, I'm just kind of highlighting, Charles and Jeff on a few of their shots. And he hit this gap really well and had a chance for birdie. It is uphill, so you got to throw a little bit harder and a little bit higher than what you normally would, just because once you get to that basket, it is uphill. But hole 6, going to kind of be a dog leg right, if you will. Got to typically throw through this gap. I used to throw sidearm, but I've really been working turnover shot, and my shot I threw a great shot, and it didn't get recorded, but very similar to Jeff's there. Mine's right underneath the basket, and that's okay, though. It was pretty much the same line that Jeff took. I just threw it a little bit further than his and ended up hitting that root right there. But here we go, hole number 7, 242. A lot of different lines, but majority of the time, people are going to throw this flex shot, kind of with something a little stable on the outside here if you're a right-handed player. But I had an ace run at this one and just went a little further of the basket. You got to be very careful, because I've seen so many putts. It is a death putt if you're on the opposite side of it, but I've seen so many putts and shots just roll down that hill, and it is no fun. But hole number 8, 224, just going to be a very slight going to the right shot here, and you're going to see Charles here throwing a putter turnover. And it was looking great, ended up catching its edge, rolling a little bit. Jeff throwing a turnover, or like a little flex shot as well. Goes on the inside, splits those 2 trees, and we had no idea where it was, but he actually ended up down here at the bottom, just to kind of show you that, you can throw several different shots. Mine ended up catching, I threw sidearm, ended up catching an early branch. But here we go, hole number 9, and just kind of back out in that open field area.
Hey, I didn't set
so this is just going to be another stock hyzer. But cool thing about it, 1 through 9 will end basically where you started. Just have a little bit of a walk. If you only want to play 9 or walk to the, you get here, go play the back 9. So it does kind of make like a figure 8. Really well-designed course. Jeff here throwing a nice hyzer shot, parking the hole. Charles' shot as well. It's a nice little hyzer. Ended up just a little bit wide. I see that happen a lot with these shots, so you got to trust it, go out to the side of it. So ended up 2 birdies here. Charles' putt was a little long. But moving on, hole number 10, 140. This is probably the easiest hole here, but also the hardest hole because, or I don't want to say hardest hole, excuse me, but most deceiving hole. You know, if you do not hit this gap, it is so difficult for you. You hit any of those trees to make that comeback putt. Or even if you go a little bit fat, there is a bush on the right side that makes it super difficult. You know, just have to peer this gap. And like I said, it's 140, standstill putter shot. So simple, but at the same time, if it's too high, you'll hit those branches, have a really long comeback putt. But here we go. Fun slow-mo. Both of these guys kind of landed in the same spot. Charles sinking it and Jeff dinging it. Let's see his face. Oh, yeah. That hurts. We all know that feeling way too well. Here we go. My standstill in-view shot. Just tapping in. They were trying to distract me there. But the only par 4 when you play short to short, just about 500 feet. If you end up in that thick stuff right there on either side, it is a very hard par to save at that point. Or I don't want to say a hard par, but hard to get a birdie. I've done it one time where I had a small window, was able to throw out, but typically if you do end up in that, toss out, take your medicine, get a par. But this was for eagle. Actually, we just had, like I said, a tournament. Played it yesterday. I watched a guy eagle that hole, so that was pretty cool. Had a nice flip up, probably about 25 out. So here we go, moving on, hole 13.
And action.
This is, I like to normally throw a little bit higher than what I'm throwing here, just because if you want to get a birdie on this hole, you need to throw it nice and high. Ended up hitting a tree, gave me a bad kick. But really cool, well-designed hole. Has a few different options. Here's Jeff with another scooper putt. That was to save his par. This is for my par. Or hole 12, excuse me. I believe I said 13. But now hole 13, 274. Going to be open again right before we come back into the woods. Got that little hump to deal with on this hole. So you got to give it enough height to get over that, or you'll still give yourself a long putt. If you can get over that hill, you will be fine. I ended up throwing a pyro and had a skip to get me over. Charles is throwing the perfect hyzer shot. So you just want to hyzer and come in underneath those. And if you can get inside of here, you're typically going to be well off. Charles with the birdie there. Very nice putt. This is for birdie as well. But this is one where, you know, I barely made it over the hill. And that's how close the basket is to those hills. So 152, another shorty. This one, a few different lines. This is actually the only hole that I've ever aced here at Tommy. I threw a forehand flex shot through the left gap, actually, through those trees. And we were having a discussion talking about aces. Typically, if you throw an ace, it's because it was a bad shot. You know, if you miss that basket by a couple inches, it's going to keep going quite a distance. And this one definitely was if I did not hit it. But it was an ace nonetheless, so I was happy with it. But all of us just kind of throwing those hyzer shots today. I played that skip. But Jeff ended just at the bottom of this mound. Another scooper for a birdie. Charles here. Oh, you hate to see it. And that happens so many times on this mound. If you run it and you don't hit it, you will end up rolling to that side or the back side of that mound. So, taking another birdie here. Hole 15, 227. This is probably actually one of the harder ones that we will play that doesn't have like a super clear line. Now, when I say harder, I mean, I've birdied this. I've seen lots of people birdie it. You just have to throw a nice hyzer It's just one of the tighter gaps that we're going to be playing today on this one. And I thought I hit that one, just left side chains, splashed out, took a par. But here we go. Moving on. This is going to be one to where typically we don't play the short on it. We're always going to actually be playing the long. The short is way up to the right. Not a lot of people play that one, especially in tournaments too. So a lot of people just play straight ahead. That's why we're doing that today. But you have the high hyzer route. Here's Jeff doing the high hyzer route. Just ended up a little short there. And then Charles is going to be throwing down the middle. So I kind of highlighted how people play this hole. I see a lot of people play straight down the middle. Me personally, I like the high hyzer. You can typically get up here a little bit better. I was just short putting today. But hole 17, 244 on this one. Going to be looking straight at it, going down the hill, then back up the hill, and there's the basket. So if you try ace running this, if you miss, you're going to be going quite a ways down the hill behind the basket. I always like coming up just short and skipping as close as I can to it. But you can tell the hill's not too far from this basket, so you got to be careful. Hole 18, 223. This is just almost like a poke and pray hole, in my opinion.
Yep, action.
And, you know, it's just got to have the right angle, the right disc, the right distance. And I was happy with that hyzer shot, but ended up catching a tree. Jeff here throwing a hyzer, just goes inside gap and ends up on the wood line. Charles here, I believe he was throwing a zone, and he was able to just miss everything, have a great skip. There's Jeff putting out, and here's Charles for his birdie.
Dead solid.
Reverse roll.
Straight back.